The purpose of this brief presentation is to introduce you to the Town of Cary 100% Green Energy Coalition. We are a group of Cary residents who wish to see the town take a leadership role in addressing climate change. I'm going to describe the reason for our existence, what we're asking of the Town of Cary, and finally invite you to join us. Every fact I'm about to share with you is widely accepted by the scientific community, and the last slide of our presentation will provide a reference for every point I'm about to make. This slide shows the array of commitments to reduce greenhouse gas emissions that have been made by the United States government, the state of North Carolina, and cities including Charlotte and Durham. Cary has taken early steps toward renewable energy, including a solar farm that was built in 2012 and implementation of a 20 kilowatt solar energy and hot water system at Fire Station number 8 in 2013. The town also adopted a strategic energy plan in 2012, updated in 2015, calling for a 13% reduction in energy use, and that plan expires this year in 2020. In early 2019, the Town of Cary's volunteer citizen-led Environmental Advisory Board delivered a set of recommendations to the Town of Cary, but the town has not yet acted on those recommendations, nor has it made a commitment to do so. First, let's review the basic facts of how human activity is causing climate change that is a threat to our civilization and way of life. This photo is from the Apollo mission, December 1972. The Earth surrounded by infinite, unending space in orbit 93 million miles from the sun. Our galaxy is the Milky Way, containing between 100 and 400 billion stars and at least 100 billion planets. There are billions of other galaxies in the observable universe. So far, Earth is the only planet that has been identified that can support human life, based on a very narrow range of temperatures, oxygen content, and water. If the Earth were a little closer or further from the sun, we would not be alive. Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. Our species has been in existence for only 200,000 years. Our very existence is fragile and highly improbable, and we're not in any way guaranteed to continue as a species. As far as our home, the Earth, there is no planet B. This photo was taken from the International Space Station. This is the sun shining through the atmosphere of the Earth. The atmosphere is what allows life to exist. 60 miles above the planet is the point where scientists agree that outer space begins. But it's also true that humans can only survive altitudes of approximately 5 miles above sea level, meaning that the margin for human life is so thin that it exists only within a very few miles of the level of the world's oceans. These few miles are the portion of the atmosphere that maintain a temperature and oxygen content that allow life to exist on Earth. This atmosphere is what stands between us and oblivion. Into this precious and delicate balance of gases that create all life on Earth, we're emitting 152 million tons of man-made global warming pollution each day. That pollution, especially carbon dioxide, is building up and causing the planet to become warmer through the greenhouse gas effect. As high-frequency UV light from the sun enters the atmosphere and warms the planet, some of it is radiated back towards space in the form of lower-frequency infrared radiation. And some of that is trapped within the atmosphere, warming the planet. Because we've altered the composition of the atmosphere by increasing carbon dioxide and levels of other greenhouse gases, more of that infrared radiation is staying in the Earth's atmosphere, interacting with greenhouse gases and warming our planet at an unprecedented and dangerous rate. The temperature of the planet has already increased 2 degrees Fahrenheit since the late 19th century. Even if the Paris Accords are implemented, it could rise by up to 6 degrees Fahrenheit, potentially leading to a violent and traumatic end to human civilization as we know it. By far the largest source of global warming pollution is burning fossil fuels, including coal, oil, and gas. This slide shows a dramatic increase since approximately the early 1970s. In that time, the human population of the planet has doubled from 3.8 to 7.6 billion, while the population of most other forms of animal life have been reduced 30 to 70%, including fish, insects, birds, mammals, and amphibians. Insect populations have declined 75% by weight from 1989 to 2016. It should be apparent that these trends could lead to societal collapse unless we act immediately. to eliminate emissions of greenhouse gases. Shockingly, the wealthiest 10% of individuals in the world generate 50% of emissions, and the poorest 50% generate only 10% of these emissions. As residents of Cary, we have a special responsibility to be part of the solution. Note the trend of average surface temperatures on Earth during the last 140 years, and in particular since the 1970s, when greenhouse gas emissions accelerated. In fact, 19 of the hottest 20 years recorded have taken place since 2001, and the most recent 5 years have been the hottest of all. The United States Department of Defense is the most well-funded, technologically sophisticated, and scientifically advanced organization perhaps in human history. So let this statement sink in, and notice that the predictions of pandemics and refugee crisis have already come to pass. I mentioned earlier that populations of fish, insects, birds, and other animals have decreased by 30 to 75% in the last 50 years. Scientists tell us that we're also in danger of losing up to 50% of all species of land animals in this century. In fact, extinctions are occurring at a rate that is 1,000 times higher than would be normal without the impact of human activity. Many scientists believe this is part of the 6th mass extinction in the history of the planet. The 5th mass extinction led to the disappearance of the dinosaurs, who had ruled the Earth for 120 million years. In contrast, we have been in existence for only about 200,000. Despite the dire situation in which we find ourselves, there is good news. We already have the technology needed to solve this crisis if we act with urgency and across the entire globe. Renewable fuels, including solar, wind, and hydropower, are plentiful and both economically and technically feasible. In 1 hour, the sun provides enough energy to meet all human needs for a year. This threat to humanity and the planet is the reason that nearly every nation in the world agreed to work together to eliminate greenhouse gases by 2050. If we continue on our current path, the consequences for Cary include increased mortality from intolerable heat waves, more frequent and severe flooding causing disruption of houses and loss of life, and dramatically increased prices for all types of food. Everything that I've already described to you is the reason that we founded the Town of Cary 100% Green Energy Coalition. We're asking the Town of Cary to commit to implementing the Environmental Advisory Board recommendations and meeting the EAB goals for reducing carbon emissions, as well as to convert town-owned assets, including buildings and vehicles, to renewable fuels at a rate of 50% by 2025 and 90% by 2030. These actions will place Cary in a true leadership position and set an example for other communities. This is technologically feasible, economically feasible, and similar steps have been committed to by other cities in North Carolina. We're asking Cary to help ensure a safe future for all of humanity. So these are the specific actions I need you to take. 1, sign our petition indicating your support for this initiative. The link's on the screen. 2, call and email the mayor's office and the offices of your town council members and tell them that you support this initiative and wish to see the Town of Cary convert to 100% green energy. 3, please share this video with every Cary resident that you know and ask for their support of this initiative. And lastly, please email us at townofcary100greenenergy@gmail.com if you'd like to learn more or become an active part of our coalition. Thank you so much for your support and for your time and attention to this initiative.